So, I want to talk about Windows. Welcome back to Mark Ellis Reviews, and thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't, the button's just down there. So earlier this week, I heard the really good news that the preview of Windows 11 was on the way. So I thought, brilliant, let's nip onto my Discord server, have a chat with the members on there, and find out what sort of machine I'd need to get to run this Windows 11 preview. Turns out they've got no idea. And that bothered me, because they are super smart people, far smarter than me. But they admitted they didn't know, and they pointed me to an article written by the Windows team, which appears to suggest that Microsoft doesn't know either. Now, believe it or not, I've been thinking quite a bit about Windows recently. I want to get into the Windows ecosystem for a bit. I want to see what I'm missing out on, being a Mac OS guy for so long. And I did think, when I heard about Windows 11, this could be the moment to do it. And then it all went a bit wrong. So a very potted history about myself and Windows. I used Windows for years, and that's both professionally at work. I had to use Windows in my old jobs, but also personally, I used to build my own PCs years and years ago. So from a kid, really, I suppose from about the age of, 15, 16 to mid-late 20s, I was a Windows user. And I loved and hated it in equal measure. It was very customizable, you could do a lot with it, but consequently, it broke a lot as well. And then, just over 10 years ago, I got really seriously into Mac OS, or Mac OS 10 as it was back then. And Mac OS is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It has lots of different flaws, but it does just work. And in this new era of M1 Macs, it hardly ever crashes. But I am open-minded, and a little while ago, I tried out Android for a little while. I even swapped my Apple Watch for a G-Shock watch from Casio, and that was a really interesting experiment. I didn't stick with Android, but I did enjoy some of the stuff that it presented me with. And as for the watch, I've actually now got to the point where I'm swapping between this Apple Watch Series 6 and the G-Shock on a quite a regular basis. I'm no longer that attached to the Apple Watch. Who knows? I thought Windows might do the same thing for me, but Windows 11. Let's just very quickly get into what has really bothered me this week about that release. So earlier this week, the Windows team published a blog post called Update on Windows 11 Minimum System Requirements. Starts off great. It starts with this really exciting news that the Windows 11 preview is on the way. It turns out the Windows team are pretty excited about it as well. They say that they're very excited about the insight they're going to get from people installing it and using it on a variety of PCs. Now that's where things get a little bit worrying. There's not much conviction in that sentence, is there? What does a variety of PCs mean? It then just gets worse and worse, to be honest. So they then go on to admit the fact that their PC health check tool, yep, that's still a thing, that wasn't working correctly. So basically it caused all sorts of confusion when people ran it. The idea was to find out whether or not your Windows 10 machine could run Windows 11. And according to the Windows team, their tool just didn't really give you the detail that you needed to make that decision. Kind of had one job and didn't do it. And then in this blog post, they say that they want to set a path for how we will learn and adjust. And that sounds really weird. It sounds like they're bringing us in at the very early stages of development rather than the beta phase. But there is some good news, because they do confirm that security, reliability, and compatibility drive their decisions with Windows. It's a shame clarity isn't among those words, but okay, they've got the right things in their head. But from what I can tell with this blog post, and having spoken to people who get Windows and enjoy using Windows, it's done nothing more than just confuse the matter further. I can see why, really. It's about 800 words long, it's got long rambling sentences, it's not very well written either, and it just feels completely rushed. Don't get me wrong, I think it's brilliant. It's very big of them actually to recognise the fact that they have screwed up with this tool designed to work out if your Windows 10 machine is compatible with Windows 11. The fact they've acknowledged that and tried to make it better is actually pretty admirable. It's not something Apple would do, or if they did, they'd be pushed to do it and eventually say, oh, whatever, yeah, here you go, here's that thing. Whereas the Windows team do appear to be a bit more proactive with this, which is good, I like that. But it appears to me that people are asking one really simple question about Windows 11, which is, will it work on my computer? And Microsoft at the moment seem to be completely incapable of answering that question. Haven't we been here before? They talk about Windows Hello, I assume that's the Siri version of whatever it is, virtualized based security, hypervisor protected code integrity, and TPM, which I think is their version of Apple's T2 chip. There's just so many numbers, acronyms, and weird references to the past. They even note that their OEM partners and silicon partners are experiencing a 99.8% crash-free experience. I never want to know about a crash-free experience, ever. Just make it work. I'm not poking fun at Windows here. Or I am, but it's only because it's just impossible not to. But this whole Windows 11 preview launch and this blog post, it just illustrates why I left Windows a decade ago. There's just so many opportunities for it to go wrong. There's actually a Windows 11 systems requirements page, which is huge. It just goes on and on and on and on. The first part of it has all of the system requirements like the processor, the RAM, the storage, all the normal stuff that you'd expect. Then you get onto the feature-specific requirements for Windows 11. And I've counted them. There's 22 feature-specific requirements to run Windows 11. And this includes things like Client Hyper-V, BitLocker to Go, Direct Storage, Presence, Snap, Teams, Touch, I suppose touchscreen, yeah, Wi-Fi 6E, voice typing, intelligent video conferencing. What's that? It just goes on and on. It's like, oh, and then there's some feature deprecations and removals as well, so that they're getting rid of desktop wallpaper. Oh, sorry, cannot be roamed to or from a device. Okay. Math input panels going. Sorry. S mode. Bye-bye. Quick status. It's dead. I just look at that and think, I can't think of anything that wants to put me off going back to Windows more than this list of requirements for Windows 11. And it's such a shame because, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I really want to get back into Windows for a bit and try it out. But what bothers me the most about this Windows 11 stuff, and I mentioned this on the recent episode of the 8 or 16 podcast, link in the description. If you look at those leaked screenshots and now the official screenshots, it just looks like Windows. It doesn't look radically different. Okay, they've moved the start menu to the middle of the start bar, but that's about it really. It just looks like a refreshed version of Windows. However, there's clearly a lot going on beneath the hood. And what's worrying, it sounds to me like Windows 11 is getting to the stage where cross-hardware compatibility is getting harder and harder to ensure. And it's not really Microsoft's fault. You know, the whole way that the whole Windows ecosystem is set up is that it has to work on a whole variety of different platforms and different CPUs and setups and all that sort of stuff. I get the impression that Windows 11 is trying to tighten that a bit, largely, I guess, because of security, which is a really good thing. But they seem to be on the back foot with this a little bit. And I even wonder if they've spoken to OEMs about it. You know, it seems to be the case that they're saying, look, we think it's going to work on this, that and the other, but we don't really know. Surely they should know that by now. In fact, the situation's so bad, they've had to remove that PC health check tool from Windows. So I want to try out Windows. I'm always fascinated by looking over the fence in tech and just seeing what I'm missing out on. You know, what's Apple missing out on? I'm a Mac guy. What do I miss on my Mac that is happening on Windows? I just think at the moment, unless they do something, I'm not sure what they've got to do, but Microsoft need to rectify this pretty quickly, because I think Windows 11 is a really killer opportunity to pique the interest of people like me, people that have gone over to the dark side of macOS, but still have an affinity for Windows. I have a very soft spot, a very fond memory occasionally of Windows from the past, and I'd love to just go back to it and use it. I'd love to try the new hardware. You know, I'd love to try a different laptop to a MacBook. But at the moment, Windows 11 seems to be completely impenetrable, and not just for kind of innocent bystanders and onlookers like me. It seems to be impenetrable, not just for Windows, you know, diehard Windows people, but even Microsoft themselves. No one seems to know how to handle it. I want to see what's happened in the 10 years since I abandoned Windows for macOS. And Windows 11 at the moment isn't making a particularly good impression. I haven't given up though, so I'd like your help actually. I want to get into Windows, and I kind of appreciate the fact now that I'm going to have to go with Windows 10 for a bit. What is the best route into Windows 10 for someone who uses a MacBook Air, an M1 MacBook Air, every day? That is my laptop of choice. So if we think about affordability, battery life, ease of use, what should I go for? Get involved in the comments. So thanks to my Discord crew for giving me some advice on this. And actually on the subject of Discord, if you want to get involved in that community, I'm now on Patreon. So if you want to support this channel and get access to that community and get some really cool additional content, just check out the link in my description. And if all this talk from me about Windows is a bit weird and you want to see me get back to the Mac stuff, keep watching for a recent video I did on the 8GB versus 16GB debate for the M1 24-inch iMac. But in the meantime, thank you as always for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.